Hey there. Thanks for tuning into Your Psychologist on Speed Dial, where I, Mary Beth Lavender, take your real life questions to licensed psychologist and my go-to friend when I need some solid sound advice, Dr. Dean Hinnitz. Together, we'll help you sort through that ruminating thought that keeps you up at night or lingering anxiety, really any moment of just being a human being. And we'll figure it out together, one conversation at a time. Let's get into it. So great to see you, Dean.
It's good to see
Been
you,
a
Mary
really
Beth
long
Lavender.
time. Here we are again, ready to answer another person's question.
Yes.
This came in, and I think it's really interesting. So this person writes, could therapy be restrictive at a certain point?
What a cool question. I've never been asked that, and I can do the long drawn out answer or the short one, which is yes. It begs an old conversation, actually goes all the way back to graduate school for me, which is, can a therapist help a client advance, or can they take a client past where they themselves are consciously or with their own consciousness or their own development? And the question's a little bit unresolved, but I think that oftentimes the therapy relationship is bound by the flexibility, awareness, and possibilities that exist in the therapist.
So you think it's more on who you're seeing versus the person themselves?
But who you meet with matters a lot. Your possibilities of what might happen, what could occur, what transformations can happen, they're very much bound in that therapeutic relationship and the range of the person that you're seeing.
So for the person that asked the question, if therapy is restrictive, the advice for that person, if they're in a, working with a psychologist or therapist and they feel like they peaked with that person, do you think they should have that conversation with their therapist, or should they just be like, we're done here and move on and try and find another therapist?
I will always recommend bring it up to the therapist. Now, therapists have differential abilities to handle a question like that.
Sure.
But oftentimes what happens in therapy very much mimics what's going on in other relationships in a person's life. Their friendships, their intimate relationships. How often have you felt like you hit the ceiling, like in a friendship, or particularly in an intimate relationship, when we want to look and see, are the patterns repeating again? There is another possibility, which is things are flat, things are stagnant. This particular therapist can't take the person further, but I would have the discussion. As a therapist, there have been times that I've thought, I don't know that I'm the one that could take this person further, and I will make a referral. But it's something to be brought up, put on the table from my point of view.
Yeah. So for this person, maybe they should start by, if they feel like they're working with somebody and they've hit a ceiling with this person, would you recommend them first evaluating the relationships in their all of their lives to see if like it is just the therapist or this experience that they're having, or if that is a theme that is happening, and so then maybe it's not just that person?
Ideally, you would do that with your therapist.
Ah.
That you've been with them hopefully long enough that they could say, this is reminiscent to me of what might have happened in your family, or what might have happened in your marriage, or what might have... The part of the therapist's job is to spot patterns, to spot themes that repeat, but to do it not in a blaming way or a shaming way, but to watch. I see this pattern, and you've hired me to watch patterns. And then as a therapist, it will be my job to not be hurt, not be offended, not be defensive, and see how can we move with this differently.
Yeah. For the person that maybe wants to approach their therapist, but are a little unsure how to talk to their therapist about this, what would be like a recommendation of like bringing up this conversation with the person of like, hey, I think we've reached a ceiling, or I'm feeling restrictive?
I love your language right now. Therapy is an experiential exercise. From my point of view, and there are over 400 different kinds of therapies. One of the essential components of therapy is the relationship itself. You want to think of therapy as a greenhouse.
Okay.
Where, if you think of a greenhouse, the ideal growing environment, if we give this the right amount of light, the right amount of water, fertilizer, whatever, we can grow this plant, we can have something happen here that
Right.
comes alive. And then we can take this. If I have the skill to do it in this greenhouse, maybe I can take it out onto the lawn.
Yeah.
However, it is possible that you may be with somebody that is not well matched to help you to be able to explore issues around some of the hot topics around death, sexuality, aggression. How capable is the therapist of going, I can sit with this, and I can sit with however it is you're seeing me on a given day, because people bring their histories, and it doesn't matter who you are. I mean,
Yeah.
you can have all kinds of skills and do all the right things.
Right.
But if you don't have the capacity to be non-defensively, authentically present and go, hands in the clay, me and you. If the person can't do that and you can sense they don't meet you, you have a right to really wonder about that too. But bring it up.
When someone's looking for a therapist, is there certain questions they could ask that person before, like, oftentimes you can do like a 15-minute consultation with somebody right before you actually become a client of theirs. In dating, there's like red flags, green flags, right? Are there red flags with therapists when you're like interviewing with a therapist or consulting with a therapist?
Great question. And I think there is some. Not everybody's open to that 10 or 15 minute consultation or
Okay.
brief meeting, but I recommend it, and to ask and to say, could we set up a time to meet? I'm curious, I'm interested. And that would be a nice first step for anybody.
Yeah.
Let's say you get the 15 minutes and you're in the room with them. I want to assess for this person's capacity to be present, to be focused. And at the same time, I want to look for what would be the most important things. Lack of distraction, ability to track, to feedback, to notice. And then if you're comfortable, to introduce, these are going to be my main issues. If you're willing to risk that, where are you with this? What's your experience? Sometimes I've had some very out-of-pocket questions that I was taught in my therapy school not to answer,
Oh, really?
but I did.
Because you're a rebel. What were the questions?
I'll give you this example.
Okay.
I was working with someone who had truly almost unspeakable tragedy. Like, I wouldn't even want to give language to it. I would traumatize listeners right now.
Yeah.
And they said to me, I think this was our first or second meeting, what qualifies you to sit with me? What have you ever been through? What dark have you seen? And I thought, my professors told me, don't answer this one. And my human part said, this person deserves this, and they deserve to know who they're sitting with.
Yeah. I was going to say it humanizes you. I think sometimes as a person who, works with, sees a therapist and works with psychologists, sometimes you put the person like on a pedestal, right? Like this person has all the answers. This person's going to like take me to where I need to go, right? So sharing your vulnerability humanizes you.
The truth of it is, we can never put complete faith into another person. We're supposed to be able to idealize who we're in therapy with. I want to idealize the pilot when I get on a plane.
Yeah, we don't want to know that the pilot's having a bad day.
In therapy, with our therapists, we're supposed to elevate them coming in, assume they know some things, assume they have a compass, a roadmap, a headlamp. And part of therapy is coming into contact with their humanness that goes, they do have those things. They have these other human things too, but the question for the therapist is, am I disclosing because this is self-gratifying? Or am I disclosing because I'm in service right now and this person needs to know? And when you're thinking about changing therapists, there are questions about accessibility, but also, is this therapist have enough self-development, enough consciousness to be past, to be bigger than the problem that I'm presenting? Because if they're not past it, maybe it's a time for a switch.
It depends on the situation, right? Therapy can be restrictive if you're working with someone who you personally feel that you've hit a ceiling with, right? If you You have to look inward to make that decision.
And you can sense, hopefully, is what I'm talking about overwhelming the therapist? Much like I don't want my pilot to be overwhelmed by turbulence.
Right.
To get a sense, is the person I'm working with, again, can they sit with this? The darkness of it, the intensity of it. Can they be with something, to truly be with somebody, you share something that is secretive or shameful to you. And I guarantee you, anybody who's done that with me, they're watching to see if my pupils dilate, if my eyelids flicker, if I can do this.
Right.
And my job is to truly, truly, truly not judge them as they judge them.
Right. Absolutely. So in summary then, yes, therapy can be restrictive, but that doesn't mean that's the end of the rope, right? If it doesn't work out, there is somebody else out there that could help you get through whatever circumstance you're in at this moment.
Careful on this one, again, to reiterate.
Please. Yes.
The restriction that somebody perceives might be their own. I've had people who drop out of therapy, and I think whatever they made up, whatever they've, the word transference, whatever they've transferred from an old life, seen me a certain way, part of the work of therapy would have been to find out we can work through this.
Right.
And so we want to be careful about prematurely closing out or exiting. And it's a conversation to have. I strongly advise having these conversations, seeing how the response of the other person is. It's a beautiful question. And to reiterate, therapy from my point of view is relational almost always. And so it's a testing ground. Can this person handle what I have? Can they allow themselves even to feel some of what I feel without getting overwhelmed by it? And to present material that's troubling, that feels like we've reached an edge, is where the breakthroughs occur. Try it out. Again, I've not been asked this, and I love it. I think that the challenge that can occur in the therapeutic relationship is often where the breakthroughs, they exist. Yeah. And it's up to the therapist to be big enough to put their arms around what's being presented in the room.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks, Dean, for your insight on that. We hope that that answered your question. And if you have any questions that you want us to answer, please head to the show notes. There'll be a link in there where you can submit your question and we'll answer it. And we hope that you know that we are here for you and we're sending our love. And until next time, take good care.